Salve, people of the universe. I'm Lord Salvator, and I'll be reading the Age of Escalation Thesis today. What is the statement of the thesis? The statement of the Age of Escalation Thesis is that from 2016 onwards, we are entering an age of turmoil, despair, and tragedy. A war of ideologies will commence. The chemicals. Cultures are like chemicals, in that when they interact, you can end up with disastrous consequences. Certain cultures mix better than others. Religious culture is perhaps the most important factor. This is due to the authority and moral configuration. Those who do what some perceive to be immoral, but others do not, are more likely to end up in conflict. If a religious authority, let's say a god, is the one who decides what is moral, then those who follow provable fact alone will be more likely to be in contention. But worse than that are those who object to the religion they perceive as righteous. The reason a Muslim and a Christian are going to be worse off than a Jew and a Christian is because of the significant differences. Islam excuses pedophilia, as proven by the marriage of Aisha to the Prophet Muhammad, as well as it being unfriendly to women in the sense that they are property in the case of majority of Islamic countries and subcultures. However, due to Christianity spreading more throughout Europe and eventually as a consequence through America, combined with the significant technological and cultural superiority of Europe, countries known as the West have adapted to become more friendly to women. This chemical reaction has been seen during the colonial years crisis, in which many Islamic refugees started assaulting German women sexually. Post-war sentiment. Post-war sentiment, not to be confused with post-war consensus, is the East versus West concept that developed especially between the Soviet Union and the United States of America. The battle between the extreme socialist class, known as the communists, and the free market pundits, often based on Austrian school economics, to those who are uninformed. The communists want to centralize the economy, which means the government takes a top-down approach, whereas the free market capitalists want it to be bottom-down, through the concept of supply and demand. This sentiment originates from a religious split that happened in the year 1054, often named the Great Schism. The Muscovites/Russians/Soviets, depending on the date, took the Orthodox Christianity route, whereas most of the Western countries, including the Romans, took the Roman Catholic route. The split grew larger over time, spreading over the economy, politics, and culture. The very fabric of an ideology is their belief system, whether it be religious or scientific. These two chemicals brewed over time, spreading and changing until eventually they were going to inevitably become so different that an explosive reaction upon interaction was simply inevitable. When the world entered the Cold War, where the USA and the USSR were a mere button away from nuclear war, fear became once more the driving force for extremity. People had not learned from World War II. This fear of war reared its head again, gradually showing up since 2014. In 2020, after being provoked by NATO expanding, Russia invaded Ukraine. World War I started with the Serbians shooting Archduke Ferdinand. World War III, however, started with Russia invading Ukraine. War has scaled up. Cursed comfort. Another factor is the people have become weak, especially in Western countries. But why is this? This is because people seek escapism. The past 50 years were relatively peaceful and progressive for the West. This has made people feeble. One of the most cursed sentences that came to be is the fairy tale like, "You can do anything if you believe." While some may see it as an innocent childlike wonder, it in fact is innocent childlike wonder. But a child cannot survive in a world as brutal as reality. This is why depression, DID, anxiety, and body dysmorphia have become prevalent amongst welfaring demographics. These people are not taught proper handling with these disorders either. Instead, most live on medication or in make-believe escapism. Those that do accept the harshness of reality often try to distract themselves from it. This originates from the Industrial Revolution, which has made people compliant as long as they do not have to deal with the dark reality. They often do this by conforming to degeneracy, such as drugs, parties, one-night stands, and other forms of debauchery. Friedrich Nietzsche had already noted that lack of a religion was also at play. People who are neither oppressed nor enlightened will most often become unstable addicts. When you make people care only about pleasure and self-serving, you are making people fit for molding. People, especially within politicians, often use this to their advantage, pitting one group against another through buying out the media and telling outlets how to word things, what to publish, etc. This, however, has become detrimental to even those politicians, because now no one trusts anything. The truth of the matter is that in 2023, there is no such thing as a trusted source. People aren't made to be robots breaking their backs to work. That is what drove them into seeking pleasure. And now the shallow shall be used as pawns in the age of escalation. Proxy wars. Many times throughout history, the United States, China, and Russia have used other countries, especially in the Middle East, as proxy war zones. They left many countries in chaos, not to mention the resolution of post-WW2 Jewish Israel, which to this day is on the brink of war with most of its neighbors. It was the communists who incited the Afghan war, leading to terrorists such as Osama bin Laden, who was responsible for the 9/11 attacks. The problem with the ideologies that the USA and Russia follow is that one is too weak and the other too strong. China, as an isolationist country, seeking to conquer the South China Sea, is going to always be siding with other communists and Russians. If Europe does not unite and become a superpower, then just like Ukraine, the rest of Europe will turn into the Middle East, another proxy war zone infestation. The Age of Enlightenment. The Age of Enlightenment, also known as the True Solution, is the idea that with gemtocracy, in Europe acting as a buffer, we can unite the world into empires. If chemicals are doomed to destroy each other or equalize, then we must aim for the latter. One empire can be Christian, atheist, Jewish, and such. Another can be Muslim. That is, of course, an oversimplification. In order to fully grasp the Age of Enlightenment, you must read the thesis of the same name. We must focus on progress, denuclearize, unite as much as we can, and bring back objectivity and truth. If not, we are doomed to die in a blaze of glory.